Hello, everyone. Welcome to United and Everything Football. As we told you, it's not just Manchester United, it's everything football as well. So, as you advertise, is AFCON Daily. This is episode 1 of AFCON Daily, and we'll be on till the end of the competition. We are so grateful to have you on with us. As usual, you know what to do. Hit the notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and join us. As usual, I do this with Kwame Ejubu, my co-host and a panelist. Thank you very much, Kwame. Kwame, how are you doing? I see you in a Black Stars shirt.
I've been looking forward to this. So much.
Today, we are not just talking about United. We are talking about African football and everything that has got to do with African football. So we are going for a very quick commercial break. When we come back, I'll introduce a very, very special guest. I mean, we couldn't have found a better person to do this for the first episode than him. So when we come back, I'll tell you who our guest is on the show for today. Stay tuned. All right. Thank you very much and welcome back for our very quick break. On the show today, we have a big man, a huge personality when it comes to African football. He's a specialist, actually. He knows everything about the game on the African continent. We couldn't have gone past everyone. He's an accredited CAF journalist. He's a media officer at CAF, accredited FIFA journalist as well. He's a writer for Ghana SoccerNet. He's no other person than our brother, Nuhu Adams. Nuhu, thank you so much for joining us. It's great to have you on the show. Nuhu, how are you doing, bro?
Yeah, very well here. It's exciting to be on the show for the first time. I've been following the show, and I think you guys are doing marvelously well. So it's good to have me on the show for the first time.
Thank you very much, Nuhu. It's great to have you. So the African Cup of Nations is starting on the 12th of January in Abidjan in La Côte d'Ivoire. So it's one of the greatest, or is the greatest competition on the African continent, and we always look forward to it. And as a result of that, we've decided to pay more attention to it on this channel. So remember to hit the subscribe button as always and hit the notification bell, and so that you'll be notified every time we go live with regards to this. I'm just going to share with you some very interesting tournament statistics. As you know, it's going to be held in La Côte d'Ivoire. There will be 5 cities that will be hosting the games: Abidjan, Bouaké, Kourougo, San Pedro, and then Yamoussoukro. These are the cities that will be hosting all the games for this year's Africa Cup of Nations. Now, when it comes to the top scorers of this competition, you look past no one. Asamajan only beat him to the World Cup record, I think. And is the man in the shape of Samuel Eto'o. He scored the most goals in this competition. We'll provide the other scorers also on the screens for you to know which other players. You'll be looking in for the Ghanaian player in there, who is also part of the players who scored the most goals. Also, in terms of players that have made the most appearances, is a Cameroonian in the name of Rigobert Song, and also the Egyptian man whose name is also in there. Look at it for yourself. There's also a Ghanaian player also in there who I decided not to mention. I want to be sure if you're watching this episode with us. Andre Dedayu is the player who has also made, a number of appearances on this in this tournament, and he's going for another AFCON. He's a player that has been on since 2010. He's been on many of the Africa Cup of Nations. Many are saying this is his last competition. You never know when it comes to Andre Dedayu. Will this be his last competition? We'll be looking at that. And also, in terms of the coaches that have won the competition the most, there is this man called Hervé Renard. He's the coach who has won it twice with 2 different countries. Hassan Shihata is the man who won it back to back with the Egyptian national team, and there's CK Jemfi who's also won it multiple times with Ghana. So these are some tournament statistics that I wanted to share with you before we get into it. But let me get to Nuhu. Nuhu, I just want to pick your thoughts, your overview on the tournament and everything in terms of the preparations at the Ivory Coast and everything in general. What's your thoughts on it and everything that's happened so far?
Well, I think with about just 7 days to the tournament, should be ready. Everything the buses they provided by Air with Air Cote d'Ivoire have announced a deal with Air Cote d'Ivoire yesterday that Air Cote d'Ivoire are going to be the official carrier of all logistics and other things. And I think they are also going to help in the internal travelers with people who are coming from all over the world to Ivory Coast for this tournament. The stadiums are ready. Today, Ivory Coast played a friendly at the San Pedro Stadium. They won 5-1 against Sierra Leone. All the other stadiums are tested. Everything is in place. They are ready to host the rest of Africa in the next 3 to 1 month. And so I think they are ready. I've been speaking to colleague journalists in Ivory Coast, and almost all of them that I've spoken to are excited about the fact that the country is ready to host the African Cup of Nations. This is the 34th edition, and Ivory Coast are hosting it for the second time. So for a country to get to host the tournament for the second time should tell you the sort of development the country is going through. And I think this is very positive for Ivory Coast and their football and Africa at large. We are hoping for one of the best tournaments in the history of the tournament, of the AFCON, sorry.
Yeah. All right, so we are looking forward to one of the best, how do you call it, tournaments, the history of the tournament. Kwame, what have you made of the preparations by the Ivory Coast so far in what's been happening, what you've been reading around with regards to the tournament?
They have heavily invested in hosting this tournament. The state of infrastructure there looks awesome. See, I'm glad we are having this next door. I just wish we could meet our national team. We'll get to our national team.
Yes,
we could meet them with the same sort of energy, but then the Ivorians look like they're ready to host the rest of the continent.
All right, that's good to hear. We are all looking forward to it. So what we'll be doing today is that we'll be looking at the tournament in general, the overview, what we should expect in terms of, the football that will be played, what teams are we to look out for, what they are going to provide us with in terms of the quality of play, which teams we should look out for in terms of the surprise packages, and what they will be providing us. And all of these things will be getting to pick up the minds of the last edition that was played in Cameroon, Senegal won it for the first time. Obviously, they come in as one of the favorites. And there's been issues of the coach Aliou Cisse not being paid salaries over a very long period of time, and all the issues that comes with that. I mean, it's become a central theme in most African countries where coaches don't get paid, on time and all of that. What do you make? What should we expect from countries like Senegal, Nigeria, Ghana, the big wigs, Cameroon, Egypt? What are some of the expectations that we should have with regards to these teams?
Yeah, the AFCON is such that there are certain countries, whether they are in form or not, they are always favorites when it comes to the African Cup of Nations. Egypt is one of them. Ghana, you can't take Ghana out. Nigeria, Ivory Coast, Cameroon. These are de la creme of African football. You look at the history, you look at their pedigree, you look at the sort of players they are producing. There's no way you write them off when the competition is starting. So clearly, a lot will be expected from these countries, especially Senegal being the defending champions. They won it for the first time in the last edition. Before then, they were in the finals in 2019. So they could be one of those countries that will continuously be performing at the highest level. 2019 finals, winning it in 2022, that's 2021 AFCON. Senegal still have the chance to win it again. And they can do it because they still have their coach, Aliou Cisse, there with the loss of experience he gained from this African Cup of Nations tournament. He's going to, you look at the sort of players they have, they still have majority of the players that were present in the last edition. The only fear is that since Egypt won it back to back in 2008 and 2010, any other defending champion exits at the group stages in the next competition.
Wow.
And that is what Senegal are trying as much as possible to avoid. We saw what happened to Algeria the last time.
Yes.
We saw what happened to Egypt and Cameroon the last time. So I think Senegal still have the chance to go all the way for the ultimate prize. But it will be very difficult for anybody to say Senegal are going to get it easily. There's no way you talk about African Cup of Nations 2023 without mentioning Ivory Coast. Yes, they believe there is the chance for them to also join the likes of Nigeria and Ghana, who have won the tournament 3 or more. So they believe there is the chance for them hosting the tournament and playing in front of home fans should give them the number 12 man and an advantage going into the tournament. So Ivory Coast, you look at what they are doing with their coach, Jean-Louis Gasset, and the sort of players he's invited to the tournament here. Clearly, they are going in for the ultimate prize, but it's not going to be easy. As I mentioned to Senegal, you look at a country like Egypt, they are one team I always love to see them at the AFCON. They come in with very few world stars or big names, but they are always a team to beat. When they were coming to the last edition in Cameroon, nobody gave Egypt the dog chance to even reach the finals. But the time we realized they were in the finals, and it took Senegal penalties before they could beat Egypt. Egypt are once again coming. They have lots of experienced players coming to this tournament. You look at the average age of all the teams, and Egypt is having the highest average age. That should tell you the sort of experienced players they have in their squad. So Egypt, no way you can take them off. Ghana, yes, since 1982, we've not won it over 4 decades now. But every now and then when we are entering the African Cup of Nations, people believe we have the quality, we have the talent to go and win the tournament. So there's no way you can write off Ghana or you take off Ghana when it comes to teams we are looking out for at the tournament. Nigeria, yes, they are coming with the best of attacks. If a coach can invite 27 players to the national team and there's no Terry Murphy, there's no Taiwo Awoniyi, there's no Akor Adams, it should tell you the sort of quality they are having. That is why these players are left out of the squad. They have the best of attacks. They have Victor Boniface. They have Utosime, Samuel Chukwueze, Kelechi Iheanacho, Umar Sadiq. All these players are doing it with their clubs in Europe. But the problem Nigeria are facing now is that they don't have a midfield. And when you don't have that balance between your midfield and attack, it becomes a problem no matter the sort of quality you have. I remember same thing happened to Senegal in 2012. They came with a lot of strikers.
Yes.
Demba Ba, Papis, Demba Cisse, Demi Ndoye. All these players were in the Senegal team, but they hesitated after the group stage because they didn't have balance in the team. That's their midfield and attack. So we will see how Nigeria's coach, Jose Pesero, will set up his team. If not, it will be very, very difficult to say Nigeria will be able to win the tournament. But apart from these countries, yes, they could be outsiders.
Yeah. I was coming to that. The surprise packages. Which countries to expect that's likely to surprise us?
Yeah, I think this is one tournament all the countries present or are making appearance have made it before. There's no debutant in this AFCON. So we should tell you the sort of teams that are coming. One country I can tell people to watch or keep an eye on are Gambia. You remember their first AFCON was last edition, but they will reach the quarterfinals of the tournament when they lost to Cameroon by 2-0.
Yeah.
And they have majority of their players playing in Europe. They have a lot of quality in their team. They have a lot of experience in their team. Before the collapse, they had two of their young players scoring their first ever goal in the UEFA Champions League. Said Janku scored for young boys against RB Leipzig in the Champions League. That was the first ever Gambian goal in the UEFA Champions League. On the same night, we had Yakuba Minte also scoring for Feyenoord. So these two young players, together with Alassane Sisi and the other players, you can still believe that Gambia have what it takes to reach the quarterfinals like they did in the previous edition. So Gambia, yes, even though they have a very difficult group to navigate, that they have Senegal, they have Cameroon, they have Guinea, but I still believe they have the quality to make surprises in this tournament. Bafana of South Africa, yes. A lot of people wouldn't believe I'm mentioning their name. I'm mentioning their name because of their coach,
Hugo
Bruce.
Yes,
Such a genius man. He won the African Cup of Nations in 2017 with Cameroon. Cameroon were coming to the tournament. About 6-7 key players decided not to join the team because they were concentrating on their clubs. Yeah. But still, we saw Hugo Bruce set up a very good team to win the African Cup of Nations. Ever team, they've been improving much, and that is one key thing about the Bafana team. One thing that is also going to work for South Africa is that they have majority of the players coming from the PSL or the South Africa Premier League, which has grown to a certain level that they can produce world-class players. Mamelodi Sundowns are having 10 players in the South Africa squad, and Mamelodi Sundowns have been doing on the continent. They've won the African Football League. They are doing so well in the CAF Champions League, and they are beating the likes of Ali and the likes. So I think if Hugo Bruce is going to get his tactics and formations right, Bafana is a team we will have to watch. Mali is also another team that I think can make surprises in this tournament. You see, they always flatter to deceive. They have the quality, they have players, but when they get to the tournament, they disappoint. But I think this time, I'm looking at their new coach, that's Eric Sekushele. He's doing so well with the team, and I think this time they are going to get a remarkable achievement in the AFCON. One country, I also believe in them that at least they can cause a lot of troubles. Equatorial Guinea. The last time in Cameroon, they also surprised a lot of people. I think they reached the quarterfinals of the tournament. Nobody gave them the dog chance, but I believe they will be there this time around. They are in the group with Nigeria and then Cote d'Ivoire. They can surprise any of these countries because of the sort of coach and players they have. They have almost all of their players coming from Spain and France, and that's one huge advantage for a country like Equatorial Guinea. But another team I always love to watch, not because they are neighbors to Ghana, but I think they've also improved so much in the last couple of years. Is Burkina Faso.
Yes,
they finished fourth in the last AFCON, and I think for the last 4 African Cup of Nations they've participated, 3 of them they've reached semi-finals. So for a team like that, maintaining majority of the players, there's no way you mention teams that can go as far as reaching the last 4 of the tournament without mentioning Burkina Faso. So I think these are my little thoughts about the favorite and then the surprise packages of the AFCON.
Kwame, looks like Nuhu has completed our whole AFCON here. He's captured everything for us. Our goal today was to, aside everything, was to look at Group A and Group B. I mean, preview these 2 groups. In the subsequent days, we'll be previewing the other groups until we get to the start of the competition, where we would look at the games itself as it will be played. We'll preview the games, we'll review all the games, and all other interesting facts that will come out of these games too. We'll be sharing them with you here on this YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining us. We brought you the package, the best person for this specific session that we are having. Nuhu Adams. I mean, you look at the depth of his knowledge on the African game, and it marvels you every single time. Thank you so much, Nuhu, for joining us. But I want us to narrow down to the Black Stars. I'll get to Kwame, and then I'll come to you, Nuhu, and then we'll just look at the other group. I mean, the group A. While looking at the Black Stars, let's look at it in relation to the other teams in the group. That's Group B. Then we'll come and look at Group A, and then we'll bring today's session to an end. Kwame, the Black Stars. You are in your Black Stars shirt, just like I am also in my Black Stars shirt. It looks like not many Ghanaians have confidence in the team going into the tournament, given some of the games that we've played. It doesn't look like many people have confidence in the coach. People have their own issues with the FA. We're supposed to go to South Africa. There was a backlash. We had to retreat and then take it to Kumasi, do our campaign here, and later on we'll be going to the Ivory Coast for the tournament. What do you make of all this brouhaha surrounding the national team going into this tournament?
It's not ideal. I start by saying it's not ideal. I'm in my mid-30s. I have watched my national team for quite some time now. I wasn't old enough to have experienced the pain of Senegal 92. But ever since 2008, we've been experiencing quite a bit with our national team, lots of ups and downs. We have been in the finals of this competition, I think, twice, in 2010 and 2015. We lost against Egypt in 2010, and then we lost on penalties against the host of the competition, Ivory Coast.
Yeah.
Very painful defeats.
Yeah.
All throughout that time, our national team was on the high. There was a lot of confidence in our national team. I mean, they will disappoint you at the very end, but you know that there was a bare minimum when it comes to competing. Would either be in a semi-final or a final.
Yeah.
In this current moment, this is the lowest I have been in terms of being confident about our national team. I just wanted to get that out of the way, because over the past few years, I wouldn't get into the politics of things. I'm not a politician. But from a distance, you can see that our national team has been on the wane. It culminated in our worst AFCON performance the last time out, when we got out of the group stage. I think the last time we ever knocked out of the group stage was pre-2006 World Cup, if I am not mistaken. I'm sure no one can correct
in Egypt in 2006.
Exactly. Yeah. And we've been very good in the competition since. We've had a lot of respect and a lot of we've set memories.
I mean, this is a country that has won it 4 times. 4 times.
Yeah, I was looking at the stats, and we've won 10 medals in this competition. We've won it 4 times. We've come second 5 times, and we have a bronze medal. We are serial competitors when it comes to the African continent. We are giants. But then, Kwame, I am not confident in this current team. Maybe, I'm just hoping that maybe when the chips are down, when most people, like you said, most fans do not have any confidence in the team, they go out there and then they surprise us, just as they did in 2010, when most people didn't have any hope in our national team because of the injuries and everything that happened in Angola. We went to the final against Egypt and almost. So I'm just hoping, but then preparations are not ideal.
All right. Let's look at the group, Kwame. We are in the group with Egypt, Cape Verde, and Mozambique. Are we making it out of the group, or a Comoros in Cape Verde, or some team is just going to kick us out like it happened the last time?
I think the last time we came bottom of the group in a reformed competition. It's a 32 team competition now.
Yes.
So there are some teams that can even qualify even if they finished in 10th.
Yes.
Exactly, in 10th place. So you just think about all these things. You look at the caliber of the teams in our group, Mozambique, Cape Verde. I mean, there's the big one, Egypt. But I look at the other 2 teams and you say to yourself, surely we should make it out of the group. But Ghana can't beat Comoros these days. Ghana can't beat Angola these days. Ghana can't beat a lot of teams these days. So you just never know. I just leave it at that. You just never know.
All right. You just never know. That's what Kwame is saying. Samba, please, if you don't know, Samba is one of the names that we give to Nuhu. Samba, let's look at the group, the Ghana group, briefly. You've touched a lot on the other teams, Egypt and Ghana, but let's look at Cape Verde. And then
I think it's a tricky group.
Yeah.
This group on paper shouldn't have been a difficult one for Ghana and Egypt, but you look at the recent performance of the Black Stars in the World Cup and AFCON qualifiers, then you have to be very cautious when you are analyzing the teams that we are facing. We play our first game against Cape Verde. Yes, Cape Verde have come of age. If you look at the last time or the first time we played them, I think it was ahead of the 2006
World Cup qualifiers.
Yes. 2006 World Cup, we beat them. We beat them in Kumasi, I think 2-0. Then we beat them 4-0 in Cape Verde. Ever since, Cape Verde have improved, all because they are trying as much as possible to catch up with the elite of African football. That is why you see majority of their players coming from Portugal. They always try as much as possible to get players who are playing in Europe and are having Cape Verdean descent. So majority of the players are in Europe, and that is why you can't underrate them. Like Comoros did to us in the last AFCON. Majority of I think about 90% to 95% of that Comoros team were born and bred in France. Yeah. So once they were born and bred in France, they have that European mentality. There's no way they will fear a country like Ghana, who are also having majority of our players coming from Europe or that side of Europe. So it is the same way Cape Verde are going to approach this game. The moment they decide not to disrespect us, that is where they are going to cause us problems. The moment they give us the respect, we will take advantage and then beat them. Mozambique should be the shipping boys of this group. Yes, they are improving. They have a very good coach. They have some talent that you can look out for at this tournament. But I don't see Mozambique being a threat to Ghana's qualification from this group. It should be Cape Verde, Ghana, and then Egypt qualifying or
out of this group,
fighting for the 2 or 3 slots from this group.
Okay.
But first and foremost, we have to beat Cape Verde in our first game, just to give us the confidence going into the second game against Egypt, and then probably we'll finish up with Mozambique. But it's a very tricky group. The last AFCON, when we were traveling from Yaoundé to Garoua, everybody in the plane or everybody in the flight was calculating, or we were just predicting how we were going to fare in the round of 16 and the kind of teams we were going to face. We didn't know we were going to exit after that match because we underrated Comoros. Yeah. So there's no way we should underrate Cape Verde or Mozambique. The African game keeps improving, and I think we have to watch these teams very, very well.
Okay, in 3 minutes, sum up the Group B for me. What should we expect in 3 minutes? Because you're running out of time.
Yeah, the Group A is another interesting group. Ivory Coast, you have Nigeria. That game between Ivory Coast and Nigeria, I'm not going to miss it. Whatever means I'll take to watch that game, I'll do it. If I'm able to go to I have Cote d'Ivoire for the AFCON. But you look at that group, Guinea-Bissau and Equatorial Guinea are outside this. So it should be Nigeria and Ivory Coast qualifying from the group. But I think Guinea-Bissau and then Equatorial Guinea will fight for maybe a third slot or a third spot to be able to join the first 2 teams to qualify. Yeah, Nigeria should get the balance of their team right before they can go ahead and win the tournament. But this group shouldn't be a group they can qualify.
All right. Kwame, in that group,
just before we wrap up, I have a question for Noor.
Okay.
How do you find our selection for the Black Stars? Do you have any problem with the 27-man squad that was named by our coach?
I think you look at the players available. I have 1 or 2 issues with the squad, because if you look at our midfield, that's where we are going to have a lot of problems. Because if you are playing Abdul Saleh Samit, yes, he will start. Who is pairing Abdul Saleh Samit and who is going to play in front of them? Is Kudus going to play as number 8? If Kudus is playing as number 8, it means we are limited in our attack. So if we are using Kudus as an attacker or as an auxiliary striker or as a number 10, who is going to play number 8 position? Is Majiri Ashimeru fit and strong enough to take us through these matches. That's where the questions come from. But I think the squad is okay. Maybe players like Fosun Amankwa should have been given a chance, but I think this 27 is still okay. We will try as much as possible and hope for the best.
All right. Thank you so much, Nuhu Adams. Thank you so much, Kwame Nkrumah, for joining us for the first episode of our AFCON Daily. We are grateful to you. As usual, hit the notification bell and also subscribe to our channel and enjoy all the goodies that will be given to you this AFCON. I promise you there is a lot more to come. Nuhu is going to stay with us throughout this AFCON diaries. He has promised us that. So we'll be having more of Nuhu on this show. Thank you so much for being on this show today. We are grateful for your time. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great time.